Hello, my name is Mel Armstrong and I'm an illustrator and surface pattern designer from Wellington, New Zealand. And on this channel, I bring you tutorials and tips and tricks for surface pattern designers, children's book illustrators, and creative business people who just want to learn and create and do the things that they're passionate about and earn some money at the same time. So I started my illustration career creating surface pattern designs, and a few years into that, a publisher reached out to my agent and asked if I could illustrate a children's book based on a surface pattern design that they had seen on Spoonflower. And I had always had children's book illustration in the back of my mind, but it wasn't something that I thought I would be able to do. I didn't have any formal training. I like to create little illustrations, but put them into a book was like just a whole nother world for me. But of course I said yes, and I said, why not? Give it a go. I had done couple of online courses and I thought, you know what, I can give this a go and see what comes of it. And the publisher were incredibly helpful. They were an independent publisher, so they were very hands-on and helped me through the whole process. And that book went on to win the Children's Category Rubery Award in 2020. So it was overall an amazing experience, and the book is a gem. It's a book by Steph Gemmell. If you want to have a look, it's called A Home for Luna. It's a delightful children's story that follows Luna, a cat who finds herself washed up on a mysterious island. So I then discovered the joy of illustrating children's books, and I was hooked. But I also discovered that children's books and surface pattern design can complement each other. So the elements that I create for my illustrations can be easily adapted and repurposed into repeating patterns and vice versa. So I had some children's illustrations that I had posted online on Instagram, and a fabric company reached out to me wanting me to turn those into surface pattern designs for fabric. So it's gone both ways, which is pretty cool, but there definitely is a link, and I want to share that with you today. So I want you to think about, like, if you're creating illustrating a children's book, you will have characters. You might have a cute fox, a whimsical tree, you might have a little flower. Each of these can become a motif in a pattern. And also the color palettes that I develop for children's books or for a scene in a book often work really perfectly for a pattern collection. I often use palettes that I've created for pattern collections in my children's books because I know they work well in a collection. So I kind of figure they'll work well in a book as well, as long as they fit the theme and the mood. But they can be adjusted, the tones can be adjusted, but basically they can go both ways. When I'm illustrating a children's book, I am constantly developing new characters, props, and environmental elements, and these are really gold mines for surface pattern designs. They can easily be turned into patterns. So here is a little hen that I drew for a book. Now look how easy I can extract him and all his little actions and make him the star of a pattern. And then this one here I had illustrated as a children's book illustration, and then I took that and I turned it into a pattern for fabric, specifically for quilting fabric, so that people can tell a story with these whimsical illustrations. And I made coordinates and some blenders to go with it as well. I often incorporate my patterns into my children's books as well. So think a character's pajamas, or maybe the wallpaper of the house. Any of those could be any pattern that I have created. This can really add richness and detail to your illustration, making them more immersive, I think. Also, having that pattern of libraries and textures that I have, I can easily incorporate them into my books, so I don't have to recreate, say, a repeating texture that needs to go on a wall or a repeating pattern that needs to go on a wallpaper. I've got such a big library that I can easily pick and choose ones that haven't been licensed and put them into a book. Especially for clothing, I always manage to find a pattern that I can put onto my character's clothing. So, and also being able to illustrate children's books as well as surface pattern design just increases your opportunity for earning an income from your art. I earn income from my children's book advances and royalties for licensing my surface pattern designs to companies such as for fabric companies, wallpaper, homeware. I also sell my patterned products on print-on-demand websites such as Spoonflower. I even commission work for illustration and pattern design. So it also just adds that extra income stream, which makes my business more sustainable. Also, my children's books also act as a fantastic portfolio for my surface pattern designs and vice versa. So people who love my book illustrations often discover my patterns, and customers who love my patterns often discover my children's book illustrations or my books. I think this creates a really strong and recognizable brand, it has for me anyway, across different creative outlets. I'm essentially getting double the mileage, I guess, for my creative output when that single drawing can have multiple purposes. And also companies who are looking for children's illustrations, not specifically for books, but for anything really, quite often need patterns and vice versa. So being skilled in both these areas has made me more attractive to a wider range of products, which is fantastic. Now, if this all sounds really exciting, here are a few tips to get started. So firstly, you need to develop those illustration skills. So a really strong foundation in drawing and character design is key. There's heaps of amazing online courses, or just create and draw every day to build up those skills. I also recommend learning the basics of pattern creation, creating repeats, motifs, and how different patterns work. You can check out my course, The Art and Joy of Surface Pattern Design, where I teach all the ins and outs of surface pattern design and the business of surface pattern design, as well as how to use all the software tools to create those repeats. So yeah, definitely check that out. Would love to see you in the community. Another thing I would suggest is to find your unique style. So experiment to find what makes your art unique and consistent across both disciplines. Also, build a portfolio. You can have 2 separate portfolios, one for your children's book illustrations and one for your pattern designs, but you could also connect them in a way like you could say in your pattern design book, you could have a link to say, see how these patterns were inspired in one of my books, or how you use them in one of your books by looking at my children's book portfolio, and vice versa. So hopefully this gave you a little glimpse into how children's book illustration and surface pattern design aren't just good buddies, but awesome partners in building a creative business. I'd love to know your thoughts. So I'd love to know if you do see the connection like I do. Let me know in the comments below. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more creative business tips and tutorials. Also, if you want to learn more about my art journey and how I went from software engineer to illustrating whimsical characters, please do check out this video here where you can see my full journey from start to now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.